Slivers are actually kind of small, but what it does do very well is win creature mirrors thanks to the interaction between Venom Sliver and Striking Sliver.
Yeah.
So the First Strike and Death Touch.
Diffusion Sliver to help against all these removal-heavy decks, like Stevie Mann's Jund Monsters deck, although Mizzium Mortars seems like it could be an issue.
I don't know how you beat that card. I don't think you do. We see Sylvan Caryatid on the turn 2 on the play for Mann. How does Chadwell's Sliver deck react? Well, it has a pretty good opening. That's a dual land plus a Sliver Hive, and we're going to start with Mana Weft Sliver. So that is Birds of Paradise Sliver, if you would, or Sylvan Caryatid Sliver.
Yeah.
All Slivers now have that ability. And to walk through the kind of abilities that Slivers can get here in Chadwell's deck, they can tap for any color. They can become indestructible. That's with the Hive Lord. That one's a ways out there. They can deal a damage when they attack. They can get 1/1, Flying, Vigilance, Haste, First Strike, Death Touch, Lifelink, +2/+0, and then the counter unless they pay 2 ability.
And then you have 4 Court of Calling to just bring everything together.
Yep. Mizzium Mortars is the card on top of Stephen Mann's deck. We see Courser of Krufix there. And that's a card that can really wreck the Slivers deck unless, and I'm going to throw this unless out, unless he can court out or cast Sliver Hive Lord before that Mortars gets up to 6 mana.
It's a tall order.
Hive Lord makes all your Slivers indestructible. If he gets that in play, I'm not sure. I don't know. What does the Jund Monsters player do if I get Sliver Hive Lord in play?
I don't know.
Like,
I hope
really? Like, what do you do?
Yeah,
Like,
I know. I have no idea. I have not play tested this matchup or watched this matchup before, so it's going to be tough. I imagine that Mann is going to try and swarm around it potentially.
So what Mann, okay, I'm going to throw out here. This is like theory crafting off the cuff, right? So what Mann probably needs to do then is kill Mana Weft Sliver this turn so that Chadwell can't hardcast a Sliver Overlord.
It's entirely possible.
Right? He has the option to do it. He could Dreadbore away the Mana Weft Sliver.
Yeah, and that sets him back a little bit, but it might be worth it just because you'll get to a point eventually where Mizzium Mortars is online, and then with the Mutavault, you can keep him off that Hive Lord for quite a long while, I think.
It's like, how does he beat Mizzium Mortars? If you can just like clear the way for this Mizzium Mortars, how does the Slivers deck win?
He's got a couple Golgari Charms on the sideboard, and certainly that's not the greatest answer. Also has a couple Negates, which might come in this matchup, so he has a few things.
And he's going to Mortars away the Mana Weft Sliver here. Had the option of Dreadbore, but went for Mortars. Not saying it's wrong, I'm interested. What I'm thinking, like, is there a creature he wants to Dreadbore but can't Mortars? And I don't know if that guy exists.
Well, the Hive Lord itself is not indestructible, is that correct?
We'll get a check on that. I haven't actually cast the card yet.
Me neither.
Okay. That turn, Mann shocks for another Courser.
Oh.
Yeah, Sliver Hive Lord. Yeah, no, he's just everything. Your dudes are indestructible. Like I said, I'm not. If Chadwell gets this guy in play, I actually am not sure what monsters. Like monsters has to go over the top, but
yeah,
like that guy's a problem.
Yep, that one's tough to beat.
And Blur Sliver cast for Chadwell. His Kree Slivers now have haste, which means next turn he could just go Mana Weft Sliver Sliver Hive Lord.
True.
All in one turn. The old haste plus Birds of Paradise, like the Fires of Yavimaya deck. You just Llanowar Elves tap to cast Llanowar Elves to cast more things. You just go
and then
really fast.
Eventually you play a Sapperling Burst or Sliver, Hive Lord, you know, whatever.
Right.
Some sort of 5-drop awesome card that your opponent can't deal with.
And that's, of course, if your opponent isn't just a jerk and plays kill spells on all your cards.
Yeah.
Which looks like what Mann is doing. I'm interested, Mann looks like has kept Rakdos' return in this matchup.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I mean, this is not like a Rabble Red deck where it's curving out like 1-drop, 2-drop, a bunch more 1-drops. You know, like the deck has a reasonable amount of 3-drops. It's trying to build up to things like Court of Calling, and Rakdos' return can actually get them.
It's return for 3. So we see a land. We see 3 lands worth of hand for Chadwell. So nothing going on there.
I mean, you were talking about the possibility of Mana Weft Sliver into the Hive Lord, and S-Man was clearly afraid of that.
You have to think, like, right, how can I lose this? The draw was Diffusion Sliver for Chadwell, so his slivers you'll counter. Diffusion Sliver is counter any spell that targets your slivers unless they pay 2 more. It gives them all like they all become like Frost Titans.
Yep.
I don't know if there's other cards that do that ability. It's the only one I can think of. Your guys become icy. I don't know. Anyway,
It's kind of like a more fair version of Kira, the Great Glass Spinner.
yeah. Swing here with Blur and Mutavault, so he swings the 3/3s. One of them is blocked by Corsair, the other one gets in for 3. I was actually, last time I watched the Slivers deck play, was very impressed with Diffusion Sliver. It did a good Crystalline Sliver impersonation. Well, it's not the same card. It was pretty effective. And is that another Mortars that Mann has drawn?
Yeah, and Bobby saw it because of the Coursers, and he started to pick up all his cards like he was just like, I know this is coming, you know, but...
Then he checked out the mana. It's like, hey, wait, you can't overload it yet. And Mann is just going to do a fine job racing here. 2 Coursers are going to swing in. That puts Chadwell down to 9. 17-9, Mann is leading the race, and he'll just go ahead and play his Polukranos World Leader that's in hand. And plays Polukranos and Elvish Mystic for the turn.
And it's at this point where you really need the Death Touch Sliver, right? The Venom Sliver.
That would be good. Yeah, I mean, so what I've seen these decks do is it's the combo of Venom Sliver and Striking Sliver that just dominates the creature mirrors.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could use... Yeah, you need a lot at this point, I would think. Gale Rider Sliver, but now you're not winning the race anymore. Flying's not enough. This is like the deck I want to play at FNM, is the Slivers deck. I just want to like...
this was the last week.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, no, you have next week to play FNM, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I want to like trade for all these cards and then...
You're locked in. Sorry. You said you wanted to play it.
I guess the only cards, if I search through my commons, I probably only need Hive Lords. That's the card. Like, I have Bidens because I play Mono Blue. I actually have Court of Callings because, you know, I play Modern. I don't have Sliver Hives. I don't have Sliver Hives or Hive Lords. So I'd have to get those.
Not a lot of work, man.
All right.
Bobby's doing well.
I mean, he's 5-1. That's awesome. Now, that makes me want to play it more. Like, not only do I play Slivers, but I might actually get to win matches. Oh, my gosh. The winning matches, I'm not sure this one doesn't look good for Bobby. Remember that he can make, it looks like, well, he doesn't have mana. The Sliver Hive also has a second ability where it makes 1/1 slivers. And Mann is building up resources here. Having a lot of time thanks to his Rakdos' return. You see he played Temple of Abandon, scryed a Mutavault to the bottom.
Yeah, that return is actually going to be pretty important, I think, to where Bobby can't actually start making the Hive tokens, and he doesn't actually have enough lands to play the Hive Lord.
Right. You see their Diffusion Sliver does a good job of keeping Polukranos in check. It's counters, I believe, spells or abilities. It would count. So, like, the Polukranos is only going to get to kill 1 sliver, basically.
Yeah.
Because if he tries to target 2 slivers, then he'll have to pay 4 additional, or the entire Polukranos ability is countered.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Polukranos will get one sliver of S-Man's choice. We see here.
So I think he's sitting back because he finally found the 3rd red. So next turn he can just overload the Mizzium Mortars and doesn't want anything crazy to happen in the meantime.
Yeah, he's sitting in has a pretty big position of power here. You see he has the Mizzium Mortars in hand. He also had a Dreadbore that he just declined to cast, not feeling the need to.
Yeah, I mean, when you're going to Mortars everything away on the next turn, you don't really need to cast that Dreadbore.
Exactly, you know, but it's like when you're playing against an aggro deck and you're able to start sandbagging your Dreadbores, that's when you know you're in a really good spot.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Especially considering that he has 5 pretty awesome green creatures in play right now.
Yeah. A swing from Blur Sliver. Guy's a 3/3. And it'll be blocked by Polukranos. He's going to call him on it. And takes down Blur Sliver. When you don't have any outs, just start attacking. It's not actually a terrible plan. I think it's one that he did.
Yeah.
S-Man, you know, right? Your out is maybe he doesn't block this. Okay, swing.
Yeah, and then you get in a little bit extra damage, and maybe that translates into something down the line.
Right. I think one of the hard parts with this Slivers deck is that because it's 31 creatures and 6 spells, and like Court of Calling is basically just more creatures.
Yeah.
Is that like what are you top decking? Because all your top, like outside of the 2 Bidens, every top deck in your deck is a Sliver. And you know, you're not gonna like, it's not like green white where you have this, oh, if I top deck a Johnny Collar the Pride, I can kill him out of nowhere.
Sure.
You're not a red
I mean,
deck that's like I can top deck Burn.
There are definitely slivers that can change board states, right? You know, like we have the Venom Sliver, we have the Sliver Hive Lord. Bobby doesn't, you know, have the mana to play the Hive Lord or anything, and I think it's a little too late for the Venom Sliver, but like there were definitely turns where he had things that he could draw to actually change the game.
Yeah, as it is, it looks like as he's just being ground down too far on his cards. He only has 1 creature left and the Mutavault.
Yeah, and Mann hasn't even had to use the mortars yet. He's still able to sandbag that.
Yeah, he's just going to Dreadbore the Predatory Sliver and just try to swing for lethal here.
This is a Golgari Charm.
And it's fine. It taps it, which is just about as good.
Yeah.
And Bobby is going to have to chump with the Mutavault if he wants to survive this turn. He'll take 5, and he'll go to 4. And good enough. Here comes the attack. Mutavault jumps in front of the Pelucranos. Bobby goes from 9 down to 4. He's going to get to see 1 more card, but can't imagine what the card's going to be.
It would have to be a really, really good sliver.
Win the game Sliver, which surprisingly only costs 3 mana. No. So there you have it. Stephen Mann, 2 games to 1, stays alive after picking up a round 1 loss to Hexproof, now at 6-1.
He's on a pretty good run.